everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Collection Comic of the Week. George Perez Jr. continues with a book that is very, very near and dear to my heart. A book that had a profound impact on my life, and a book that I'm very excited to finally talk about. It is The New Teen Titans, issue 39. Real quick before we get into why this is so important. This issue in particular, this is a book that I own 2 copies of. This book right here is one that was given to me. I mentioned on previous Collection Comic of the Weeks about my grandfather working at printing press and having a bunch of them taken home and stuffed away in storage, and then eventually finding them and me liking comic books, just giving them to me. And this was one of those books. So, the one that I read, and the one, this is the one that I read the first time. This is the one where I really experienced the, just experienced the story, experienced the magnitude of this story, and not only what I would eventually would define the DC universe as I would grow up, but also as I realized it would kind of I would relate to more and more as I grew up. And so this is the book that I read. I own a second copy. That one is up on the wall over there, and that is the one that whenever I met Mr. Perez and Mr. Wolfman, I had the both of them sign that copy. The copy that I bought at my local comic shop. It was in one of the long boxes, but it was in a little better shape than this one. This one, the cover is a little dirty. I mean, it kind of sat in a dirty storage shed for quite some time, and that one's a little bit more crisp and something definitely a little bit more worthy of a signature from the both of them. But the reason that this book is so important to both the DC universe and subsequently my life is because this is the book where Dick Grayson decides he no longer wants to be Robin. This is for all intents and purposes in the main DC canon, the kind of the last hurrah of Robin. Dick Grayson is Robin before eventually Tim Drake, and then Dick becoming Nightwing. And I'd always known just through figures in the animated series that Dick quit being Robin. And I was even reading the Robin book, and they're talking about Tim Drake, and I'm like, who's, before I even really knew who Tim Drake was, I kind of like, without the internet and without all the trade paperbacks, just kind of had to put together the pieces of the canon. But this was when Dick makes that decision, and I kind of read it and I'm like, okay, well, now things make sense whenever I was a youngster. But then I'd find myself kind of connecting to it more and more as I grew up, and connecting to the decision more, and connecting. I see a lot of myself in the Dick Grayson character, and this was kind of like where, other than just being kind of the original intent of Robin, which was to, young kids can't really see themselves as Batman, but they can see themselves going on adventures with Batman, which is how I did see Robin through the animated series and the Adam West Burt Ward show. But this was kind of where, I felt myself kind of turning a little bit of a corner in life, especially whenever I grow up, and I felt that was happening, and I felt myself growing up. I would kind of put myself back in this book in certain situations. But now, why don't we take a look? This cover is just amazing. Like, it's very simple, but it's just so cool. Like, it's you obviously got Dick and Wally there, and it's just very melancholy, but like how he's got the Kid Flash and the Robin stuff just kind of put everywhere. Like, that's a good concept, and that's a great concept. Just this cover is amazing in its simplicity, in my opinion. So opening it up, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons video game, so that might be fun to go back and play if anybody has a copy of that. Alaska, the 49th state, the largest state and the state with the smallest population. I learned that in this comic book. Let's see, Robin. One of the things I really loved about Teen Titans and the Robin book, even though it's two different characters, God, what an that's just beautiful, beautiful page there. Is just how Robin can be a badass, and then obviously from there it went to a whole new level, with eventually Dick becoming Nightwing, but great shot Starfire there. That's just beautiful. And the Q*bert advertisement. Gotta be, even though I got another copy, I'm still trying to be as delicate as I possibly can be, and I might not be able to. There we go. Spider-Man in a DC comic book advertising fishing rods. Yep. Spider-Man's in a DC comic book advertising a fishing rod. That is, yeah, just that statement. That statement alone. I really like how he's got Dross Kid Flash there. More great stuff. Love that. Just, that's great too. Like, the action's, pretty hot and heavy for this particular, for an issue that, and that's probably one of the things that really I enjoyed a lot about this, is, it wasn't a boring comic. So it was something that when I read it at age, 8, 9, whatever it was, it wasn't just all, dialogue, and I'm like, oh, this is boring, I'll get, this is boring, this is just talking, and yeah, okay, he's gonna quit being Robin, that's a big deal, but, there was actually some action in this book. Power Lords. Got some security camera footage. Got some good shots of Slade there. Just, there's nothing I can really say to do this book justice. Just, you need to check it out. You need to seek this out. You need to find the trade that this is in. You just need to find it. It is history making, and here we go. They're back to the headquarters. Good shot of Raven there. Pretty much. Here's where it's coming, and he's. Yeah, he just basically saying that he can't be Kid Flash anymore. He can't be this person. It's just not. He needs to move on. He's got to leave the league, and he cannot do that. But here's where, because I knew, Wally West eventually becomes a Flash. I mean, hell, we covered the death of Barry last week, but this was, even though I kind of knew this happened, this is the shocking part for me. Yeah. He's giving up being Robin. And there's the different reaction. All the different reaction. You're joking. You crazy. Is that wise? Are you sure? Great. I join and everyone else leaves. Come on, you're pulling our legs. Why didn't you tell me? All the different reactions. But just really great how George and Marv did that. And just basically saying he can't, this is beautiful. Just beautiful right here. Always be the back half of Batman, and he had to be his own man. This is Dick Grayson realizing that he can no longer just be a sidekick. He's got to be who he is in his own man. And he cannot become that being Robin. He's got to find himself. And eventually that would lead to him becoming Nightwing and becoming one of my all-time favorite characters. But it was... This book had a profound impact on my life, and Return of the Jedi on the Atari by Parker Brothers. But yeah, this book was very important to me, and it was a book that kind of, even though I was still very, very young when I read it, it had that impact on me. And then as I grew up, I would go back to this book. And that's the New Teen Titans, issue 39. It was just kind of another book whenever I was 8, 9 years old and just reading it, before going to sleep one night. And it was just me going like, well, that's how he becomes Nightwing. And that's all I thought of it, then. But then I'd go back and reread it. This was a book that I reread a lot. And, I'd fall in and out of comic books, but I'd always find time to, regardless of kind of the era of reading comic books, I'd always want to go back to this one. And then, when I pick it back up at age 11, get back into comic books, I'd read this, and then I'd see new perspective on it, and then I'd kind of pick it back up before graduating junior high, and I'd kind of relate to it even more, and, kind of pick it back up in college, and then really relate to it, It was truly a special book, and truly a book that had a profound impact on my life. And all I have to say is thank you, Marv Wolfman, and thank you, George Perez, for creating a character that I could continue to grow up with subsequently with Nightwing. And thank you for this great book. Do you also own that book? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of comic books, but from the world of pro wrestling, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. Follow me on my social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeeka9, Twitter @athletic_geeka9, Instagram @athleticgeeka9, and if you'd like to help improve this channel financially, I am on Patreon, patreon.com/athleticgeeka9. And that, I'm out. Y'all be cool. Later.